is, what is it? Tuesday, July 16th, 2019, and this is the Bottoms of the Barrel Comedy Show. Yay! We are recording here in glamorous Shakers in Wrigleyville, 3160 North Clark, just south of the Belmont stop. Is there a Cubs game tonight?
Yep.
Oh, there is. So there's plenty of parking because no one's excited. I don't know what this is. I'm your host, Thomas Bottoms. Yay. We've got Joe behind the bar. He'll be serving us drinks tonight. Yay, Joe. We've got $3 domestic bottles, $4 well drinks, and $4 Jaeger and Fireball shots. Now, if you don't drink, and I don't blame you. If you don't drink, I understand and I respect. I, however, do. Feel free to buy me a drink, okay? I am working part-time in the Trump economy. My dreams of middle class have died. Buy me a drink. I will take that shot down my throat. I like Fireball. It's all good. Is there nicer ways to describe it? I don't know. If you want to get me a mixed drink, vodka's my little black dress. It goes with everything. It does. Someone said vodka and prune juice. My sister from another mister said that. Patty Vaccarella. She'll be taking the stage later. Vodka and prune juice. It's called the colon blow. Yes. She says it was the blast of the nursing home. I'm a little bit stressed this week. Our great president has called out 4 people, telling them to go back to their own country. And I don't know where I fall in the whole immigration thing, but I'm going to claim myself as an immigrant because I have been told to go back to my own country. I'm a Dutch-Swedish mix, born in Germany. Immigrant family, first generation foreign born. I don't know what that actually means, but in Republican, that means I can't run for president. Too soon, too early, I don't know. I've lived in different places. I'm pretty sure my life doesn't look like yours. My family, we moved to the United States and were greeted by disco and you light up my life. Promptly wanted to head back to Europe, but we stayed. And in that time, I've lived in Texas, Ohio, Arizona, Indiana, Colorado, Missouri, and I'm now in Chicago, Illinois for 12 and a half years. Round of applause. Yes. Longest place I ever lived. When I lived in Ohio, I lived in Cleveland, Ohio. I went to the Head Start program. I don't know if anyone knows what the Head Start program is. No, okay, good. I feel like I'm watching the cast of Big Little Lies. Head Start program is the preschool for low-income kids. And after living in Ohio for a year, my family then moved to Window Rock, Arizona, capital of the Navajo Reservation. I always like to point out, like, hey, can you spot Tommy in these photos? It's like easy, he's the white kid. Do I have to explain that living on the Navajo Reservation meant I lived with Navajo, or where are we? Someone said they were from the burbs. I'm not. Okay, I've seen those movies where someone visited Africa and it was just white people. No, I'm the only one who remembers those. Okay, so yeah, I lived in Window Rock, Arizona, and that's where I learned I was gay, because me and the neighbor boy, we would go up in the mountains and play the Blue Lagoon. He would take off his shirt and I'd paint on my eyebrows with a Sharpie. From then I moved to Indianapolis, Indiana, off of Post Road.
Sorry.
Yes. It's okay, I'm working on this bit. So I moved to Post Road. And anyone else from Indianapolis know what that means? What is Post Road?
The crappiest town.
Post Road is the crappiest neighborhoods. I lived in Postbrook East Apartments. It's what? Oh, Meth Heads Call Home. Oh, see, I was back in the coke days, coke and crack, but we didn't have meth back then. Yeah, but it's okay, because I'm too vain for, like, certain drugs. Like, I'm too vain for cocaine. Like, you do cocaine and you feel good, and then, like, I felt really horrible for 24 hours, and I looked like hell for a week. And, like, meth, I can't do meth. Side effects of meth is, like, bad skin and you lose your teeth. And my acne was so bad in high school, my nickname was Freddy Krueger. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. And let me just say I have a gap in my front teeth. There's already certain men who won't date me. So then after Indianapolis, my family somehow came into money and moved me into the white folk neighborhood, Parker, Colorado. The school was so white, I felt I had to wear sunglasses to school. The school was so white that my English class actually had the one black faculty member sit down and explain to the rest of the class about the black experience. The school was so white that when they taught us how to do stage makeup, they only gave us the white portion of the instruction. The school was, I was bullied relentlessly. It was horrible. I transferred high schools my senior year, and people said, Thomas, if you transfer high schools, you'll miss at the reunion. And I said, no, not if I keep practicing with my rifle. And Parker's a couple towns over from Columbine. Ooh. So now that we have set the bar low, somebody asked me how low can you go? Okay, I'm gonna complain right now. I'm gonna complain about Pride. I am glad Pride is over. Oh yeah, I'm a gay man. I'm supposed to be happy about Pride. No, Pride has become St. Patrick's Day with rainbows. That's all it is now. Oh, we celebrate your struggle. Dude, I remember you from high school. I mean, my company thought they were going to celebrate Pride, and they had a Pride happy hour, which was a bunch of white people from the burbs celebrating how woke they were while listening to Kool and the Gang. When they played Nickelback, I knew they didn't try.
Oh!
And I can't go to the gay resorts because while they are still gay, they are clothing optional filled with people I can't compete with. You go to the gay resorts and you have your full on, I have thrown up everything I ever wanted to throw up, and I shaved every hair of my body, young man. You then get the full-blown muscle-bound guy. I work out at the gym 8 hours a day. I am muscle-bound guy. And then you have the guy who I worked out for the past 6 months, and I own a Mercedes. And then there was me. In case how those people at home can't tell, when I one time bought a friend a tanning salon gift certificate, I was asked, oh, do you tan here? And they said, oh yeah, all the time. You do great work. So again, it's clothing optional, and when in Rome, I had to disrobe. So technically, I had my tits out. I was still overdressed, and people complained. For those who are at home, just Google FemForce Ms. Victory. You'll get the image. But it did inspire me to start working out. I'm going to do a workout that I know will work. Jane Fonda aerobics. She looks amazing. I don't care. I mean, it's old school. Like, she teaches you to do the knee lifts and the sunshine arms. Out and in. And this move, I call it pay the landlord. I have not been evicted. So since the bar has been set incredibly low, let's bring up our first comedian, a gentleman from the burbs. Give it up for Des Mulrooney!
Wow, it's really exciting being broadcasted to all my fans, aka parents. Not even parents plural, just parent. Just my mom. Hi, Mom. I recently got out of high school, everybody. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't graduate, I got out. A little bit of a difference. Yeah, it's weird. I'm going to college next year, but it's weird. That's that university scandal. All those scandals been going on, right? The celebrities. is now all the kids that are going to prestigious universities next year are being questioned, like myself. You know, people come up to me and ask, "So Des, how did you get into Elgin Community College?" Yeah, that's where I'm going next year. You know, it's not a great school. You know, it's not a horrible school. But let's just say when they sent me my acceptance letter, they made grammatical errors. I actually did. You know what the academic requirement is to get into Elgin Community College? A pulse. To get into U of I, you need a 30 ACT. For ECC, it's 30 beats per minute. That's not even good. That's not even a good heart rate. That's barely alive. That's good enough. I recently went to my orientation day for ECC, so I waited in the line of registration. Now the line of registration for Elgin Community College isn't exactly the cream of the crop. So I'm looking down the line. I'm recognizing guys that I haven't seen in years. I'm like, oh man, he's out of jail already? Thought he had some time left. And I got there, they told me I had to pick a major, you know? I'm like, I don't want to major in, you know? So I was like, I'll major in philosophy, you know? Because if I'm a philosophy major, I'll be able to explain really well why I don't have a job. Very well. People come up to me like, come on, Des, you gotta get a job, you gotta start making money. I'll be like, a man is not valued by his money. But I have a lot of dumb thoughts. I love dumb thoughts. Ever have a real dumb thought? I was driving on the highway the other day, just pouring rain coming down. Then I drive underneath a bridge. And for a second, I actually thought, oh well, the rain stopped. That was actually on the way to Elgin Community College. I'm like, maybe things are adding up a little bit. But I've had my problems driving. I cut a lady off the other day in traffic. She was not too happy about it. Then we're both stopped at a red light. She's right behind me. I look at my rearview mirror. I see her get out of her car. But it was a 4'11" soccer mom. Full haircut, sunglasses. She just walks up to my car. And I'm actually disappointed in myself of how I handled her. And that's because I locked the door. To protect myself. I didn't want to be known as the soccer mom victim on the news. And the worst thing about it is, my door was already locked. I double locked it. Just to make sure I was protected. What? I dealt with a lot of hostile people. Well, we can sweeten that last joke up there in the radio, right, sound guy? Yeah, we can sweeten that out. I dealt with a lot of hostile people. I worked at a Jewel Deli. Ever been to one of these?
Oh.
Jewel Deli? Yeah, a lot of crazy things happened in Jewel Deli. One time we got robbed. It was a true story. I really got robbed. I was working a night shift. I was the only guy behind the deli counter. I get a call from my headset. We're being robbed. I'm thinking, that's a relaxing tone for being robbed. Should be more like, we're being robbed! Not, we're being robbed. If he was an airplane pilot, it'd be like, we're about to crash. Feel free to take your phones off airplane mode. We won't be in airplane for much longer. But that didn't help me. I was in the back all scared, just waiting for the robbers. Like, what am I going to do? They start running down the aisle stealing stuff, you know? Like, what am I going to say? Like, am I going to say something heroic? Like, stop now! But probably I'm going to say something like, are you guys finding everything okay? And they take everything, and I let them take it. But, any sports fans in here?
Yeah.
Yeah? Some people, I know there's sports fans. They're watching the Cubs game other than my set. That's okay. That's alright. But, you guys know how sports rivalries typically work, right? Typically you root for the team that has less head-to-head wins, that's more competitive. So right now you root for Michigan to beat Ohio State. So the rivalry's closer. That's why I root for my dad when he argues with my mom. Because he is way down to the head-to-head wins. I'm just upstairs just listening to their argument. Like, come on, Dad. Talk about your main source of income. You got this. And he loses. I'm like, oh. If she didn't talk about his drinking problem, he would have had it. You guys have been great. Thank you so much. That's it for me. Thank you.
Des Mulrooney, everybody! Give him a round of applause. Now, I had a friend who worked at the Jewel Deli, and while he was never robbed, he did develop an aversion to fried chicken. Did that happen to you, or was it just cold cuts?
A little lot of things.
So you have an aversion to meat.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Anyone else here afraid of meat? What if it has wheels and is chasing you down the road? Would you then feel... I'm trying to come up with a new horror movie. I'm working on it right now. Our next comedian, she just came back from a tour wearing a fabulous Christina Ricci as Wednesday Addams t-shirt. She was in Baltimore and Washington, D.C. I performed in Baltimore. It's a great city. Give a round of applause for Katie Zane.
I almost came up here without my entitlement stick. That's what I've started to call my cane. Because I realize that, like, it just makes me act like the whitest of white people when I'm in public spaces. I'm like, you see this? You have to move out of my way, don't you know? White person with a cane coming through. Do those up in front of me. Whenever, like, young, somewhat okay-looking white dudes are funny, I get a little bitter. And so I was trying really hard not to laugh at your jokes. And then I was like, God damn it. That's real funny. You also look a little bit like the kid from The Sandlot. Like, and then that's a compliment. That's not a dig at all. Also, you're talking about, you know somebody who has an aversion to fried chicken?
Yes.
Oh my God. I was just telling somebody yesterday, like, of, like, top foods that I'll never stop eating. And one of them is fried chicken. Like, I don't care what a doctor says to me. Like, I am, over my cold, dead body, probably, literally, I will never give up fried chicken and cheeseburgers. Like, not giving it up. I spent a bunch of my life, I spent, 13 years of my younger life not eating red meat, and then also spent, 5 years being a vegetarian, so I've done my time. Like, I've done my time not eating meat and red meat. Like, I'm done. Like, I'm gonna eat that shit. Yeah, I can say that, right?
No.
No, oh, sorry. Sorry. Normally better about that. So recently I realized with being a female comic, we both have to be really funny and also attractive. Like, we have to, put on the makeup, make our boobs look nice, make our butts look nice. Like, we have to be, total packages when we get up here. And we still have to provide our own orgasms, I've discovered. Because, another comic, another mic I was at last night was talking about, how it's really hard to get laid when you're a female comic, which is totally true. I don't know what that's about, because, I feel like mediocre, comics that are dudes, all the... I can't say that word. The P word. All the P word in the world. You guys know what I mean.
Punani.
Yeah, there we go. Punani. There we go. Radio-friendly P word. Things I learned today. And also because of that, I'm just always masturbating, which means I'm always late everywhere I go. I was late today. I was supposed to be the first person up.
Yeah.
I was not masturbating, though. I was eating food. That's the other thing I like to do. But let's see. Thomas was saying, I just got back from being on a big trip. I spent more time not so much being on stage, but being around very boring people, because my hometown is so full of boring folks. But I also, I was there for 3 weeks, and that was because I got duped. I was told that I was going on, a very romantic, super gay vacation to the beach. And so I was like, all right, there's going to be, dildos and dental dams and gloves just everywhere, and it's going to be the best. And that is not what happened. I got there, and there was 2 other women that were coming that were lesbians, and... Like I said, I thought it was going to be this big gay vacation, and it sort of was, but somebody else's big gay vacation, because they got engaged, and then both sets of their parents showed up. So I was at a tiny beach house on the East Coast with 6 strangers who were all dull and boring and watched TV on vacation. And that's not, my lady friend who I was with, who I've been dating off and on for 5 years, she was like, well, what's an ideal vacation for you? And I was like, silence. Absolutely no sound at all. Just nothing. And books. Both of those things, that's restful for me. And then the other thing that happened when I was at the beach is not only was I so I went to this beach where you had to drive to the ocean, and I grew up very bougie. My mom we always grew up at the beach house that was on the beach. So the ocean was right there. And so when I was told that I was going to stay in this house with all these people, I was like, ugh. And then it was also we have to drive to the beach. And I was like, really? And so and then it was how close is the beach? And you get this 5-minute story, which it wasn't 5 minutes away. It was 25 minutes away. And then there was supposed to be the advantage of seeing wild horses, right? Yeah, that should be cool, right? Except for we drive through the little area where the wild horses are supposed to be. We pull over, and she's like, "Do you see them?" And I'm like, "Man, I've smoked a lot of weed, but I see no horses out there. There is nothing for me." She's like, "Do you see the wagging tail?" And I'm like, "Nope, I see nothing." And then we go to the beach, and then Seagull steals my sandwich. After this is actually really funny because I was telling my lady one of my favorite things to do at the beach is to make a sandwich. And then go down to the water and eat my sandwich on the beach and read my book like an old person is my favorite. And she's like, "Oh man, no, I do not like eating sandwiches on the beach because they're seagulls, no, they're dicks, they're jerks." And so I was like, "Oh, whatever, the seagulls where I go aren't that bad." And so I didn't believe her, and so I'm sitting there eating I had my sandwich luckily cut in half. And so I go to take a bite, and I'm chewing. And then this freaking seagull comes from behind and takes it and then slings it 6 feet, and then all the other seagulls eat the rest of my sandwich. And all I kept thinking was first of all, seagulls are the rats of the sky. And then I also kept thinking about how Chicago rats are so much more polite. A Chicago rat just don't roll up on you while you're eating a freaking sandwich and take it from you. They wait till you're in bed and they take it out of your trash. You know what I mean? It's fine. So what I'm saying is I'm glad I live next to the city and not next to the ocean with those jerky seagulls. I guess that's enough out of me. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.
Katie Zane, everybody, give her a round of applause. Yes. Katie's done some traveling. I've got some traveling coming up, going to St. Louis, Rochester, New York. Mikey Chip, give a round of applause to Mikey Chip. He's going to Oregon in a month. We're booking a trip to New Orleans and Las Vegas. We're traveling. And, if I get really, really depressed, I can always travel to the Dominican Republic. Too soon? I don't know. Our next comedian coming up to the stage, we used to work at the same company but never worked together. Yeah. Give a round of applause for Prateek Srivastava. Srivastava!
I wasn't sure you were done with the intro. I couldn't tell. So you done? We'll give you 2 more times. It's fine. You get a C+ on that. That's passing. That's fine. This is great. How about a hand for Thomas, you guys? I've known him since this bar wasn't even called Shakers. I knew him since he used to be called 3160. It was a piano bar here. He ran a great mic that I would go to after bombing at another open mic, and I would come there, and I would bomb there. And there was a piano on the stage, and there was a sign on the piano that said, "Don't play the piano." And as far as Thomas knew, I never played that piano. But tonight I will reveal, I played that piano one time, Thomas. A weight has been lifted from my soul. So I'm glad I revealed that to everybody listening and watching in here. This is fantastic. I enjoy listening to music now, but I've regretted certain bands that I enjoyed in my youth. Has anyone else regretted music that I used to listen to? Anybody else? Yeah. Problem was, I had immigrant parents that tried to connect with me as a child, and so my Indian father, when I was 13 years old, was like, "Hey, Prateek, what type of music you're listening to?" And I would tell him, and he would take me to see said music. Problem was, that music was Limp Bizkit. So my father, who grew up in India, took me down to Champaign, Illinois in 2001 to see Limp Bizkit live. And he wasn't just the cool parent standing in the back like, "Oh, this is okay, yeah. I like that cover of Faith, yeah, it's pretty good." No, my father was hypnotized by the sounds emanating from Durst, Fred. And he rose up and flowed towards the front of the stage. And that night in Champaign, Illinois, every biscuit head got to see a 40-year-old man from Mumbai, India, headbang to break stuff. And he broke his fucking face that night. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I'm just quoting a song. That's fine. But it wasn't just Limp Bizkit, because my father's love of music was deteriorating because of Bizkit. Because for my parents' wedding anniversary, they went to see at the United Center the trifecta of Def Leppard, Bon Jovi, and Nickelback. And the portal to hell opened at the United Center that day. And did I mention that my parents' wedding anniversary falls on December 7th, which is also the anniversary of Pearl Harbor? So what better way to honor our fallen heroes than by listening to Chad Kroeger scream about photographs for 10 minutes. And actually it's 12 minutes because he does the extended version and then he encores with it at the end of the show. I'm a rule breaker, you guys. I played piano 10 years ago and then I cursed by accident. I'm a rule breaker, you guys. But I wasn't always a rule breaker. Back in the day, I followed the rules. I went to a school that had a lot of rules. I'm talking about, of course, DePaul University, you guys. Yeah. It's a Catholic school, but their mascot's a demon, which I don't understand how does that make sense, you guys. And I graduated with an impressive, you guessed it, 2.9 GPA. Thank you very much. I know, not all heroes wear capes, you guys. Some heroes wear socks with sandals and have back acne. That's me. I graduated with a 2.9 GPA. And I'm proud of it. I'm doing well, you guys. I'm holding it together. I'm currently wearing 2 pairs of socks for arch support right now. All right, I'm holding it together. My knees are on fire right now. I rub my knees every night in Tiger Balm. Thank you. Which is, if you don't know what Tiger Balm is, it's like Vicks Vapor Rub, but for everywhere. It's amazing. You want like parts of your body just open up, like they're at a Fish concert. It's amazing. I love it. I love Tiger Balm. It's currently $4.99 at Walgreens right now. So pick some up. Oh, you don't have your Walgreens rewards number? Use mine, 630-268-9103. It's amazing. Some comedians sell t-shirts. I give them my reward discount points. I'm the real hero. But I'm trying to do things the right way. I legitimately try to follow the rules. There is one thing I'll do that's not very nice, is that sometimes I will use the bathroom at hotels when you're not supposed to use the bathroom. Because they'll have signs and they'll have security people that will say, "Oh, excuse me, are you a guest of this hotel?" But I've come up with the way, you guys, to bypass those rules, which I will now reveal to you now, because why should I tell jokes when I can just give you guys gifts that you can use in your own life? So this is what you do. First off, when the security person comes up to you and says, "Excuse me, are you guests of this hotel?" This is what you do. First off, if you're wearing glasses, this is important. If you're wearing glasses, take off your glasses and make full eye contact with that security guard. Because yeah, I read 2 pages of how to win friends and influence people. I know what the hell I'm doing, all right? So you make full eye contact. And you say, "No, I am not a guest of this hotel. I am here visiting my biological father for the first time ever, who is a guest of this hotel, and I'm a little nervous right now because I just had 9 taquitos from 7-Eleven. That's 3 for 3 times 3. And they are making a cameo appearance in my colon right now. and I'm about to turn my rectum into a Play-Doh press kit. I'm sorry. So it's okay with you, Hyatt Regency on Grand Avenue. I'm gonna use your facilities. That works every time, you guys. Somebody is fanning themselves right now from that tip. It's a great tip. You should fan yourselves. All of you should be metaphorically fanning yourselves right now. This has been a fantastic TED Talk / dive into my insanity, you guys. That's basically what my insanity is talking about my family, mildly cursing, and giving you guys tips. So this has been fantastic. Give it up for the OG himself. Bottoms, Thomas, thank you.
Prateek Srivastava! Give him a round of applause! Now, Prateek, I have to call you out because I don't think all these amateur drinkers know that you go to the hotel to use the bathrooms because you know the gas station's got keys. Am I the only one who... Okay. Prateek, everybody! We're going to keep this train wreck moving. Bring up our next comedian, Ashley Lush! Yay!
I love how you said train wreck and then brought me up. Like, that doesn't say anything about my life. Guys, before I get started, quick question for all of you. Anyone brought up Catholic? Anyone? A couple of you, yeah. It's interesting because I was brought up poor. No, that came to fruition though during the 2008 recession. You guys remember that? Everyone was freaking out about losing their homes. I remember my dad sitting down, flipping on the news, and he started laughing, and he was like, can't lose something you don't have. Yeah, that would have really hit home, you know, if we had one. If we had one. Guys, I did have a weird childhood, I'm not gonna lie. I know, has anyone ever hitchhiked here before? Anyone? No. Yeah, one person. I bet you didn't hitchhike when you were 10 with your entire family down in Michigan or up in Michigan, right? No, that's just a me thing. Found that out. We got stranded out in Michigan, and my dad looked at us, you know, just when we were on like an open road, and he was like, all right, kids, we're going to do a thing, okay? We're going to do a thing. And then he put out his thumb, and as like this red beat-up car drove up next to us. I was like, Dad, I'm scared. I'm really scared. And he pulled out a knife, and he was like, Ashley, don't worry. If anything happens, I'll be safe. And he was. And I'm here. Guys, I have a feeling we've got a couple mistake babies here, right? You guys mistake babies? Yeah, some of you clap to being Catholic. Of course they're mistake babies. I wasn't. I was planned. My parents wanted to have me. They didn't realize I was a mistake until a few years ago. And by that time it was too late. Guys, I am pretty sure, based on everything I told you, I'm pretty sure my parents are lying about which one of us they dropped. Right? They say it's my baby brother, but he's a straight-A college athlete. Me, on the other hand, I'm emotionally unstable. I have a crooked neck. The doctors don't know why. And here's the real kicker. I don't like being dropped. No, I'm not a fan. Right? Right now, my parents can say I'm a bad seed, that I was born this way. Not true at all. I'm an egg. I am a broken egg. Which is why I could relate to Humpty Dumpty when I was growing up. Yeah, because just like Humpty Dumpty, I needed a whole lot of guys to put me back together. Yeah. And if you know anything about guys, you know it didn't work. Not too long ago, guys, I dated a guy who was 20 years older than me, because that's always a good idea. You look impressionable, don't do it. But it was always weird walking down the street with him because I thought people thought he was my dad, and then I was like, wait, he looks nothing like my dad. He's more like a stepdad. And then I had to remind myself that my mom could do better. One of the last arguments we had with each other was because I found out he asked one of my friends out before he asked me out. He asked her to go see a movie, which is awesome because I love movies. For our first date, he took me to a bar, which is fine, but we're both sober. So we just drank water, and I'm the one who tipped the waitress. You know? And then he took me back to his parents' house. Yeah, we had to see YouTube. Yeah. had to watch his mixtape. Guys, I'm not making this up. It had a total of 15 views. Yeah, so I know he had 15 dates before me. Guys, I didn't even get a chance to Netflix and chill. I just YouTubed and on. It's horrible. Guys, I used to work at Chuck E. Cheese. You know what Chuck E. Cheese is, right? Yeah, it's hell. It really is. It's the definition. But we solved everything using a token at Chuck E. Cheese. So if a game was broken, we'd give you a token. If we didn't have the right prize, we'd give you a token. If your mom just died, token. Solved everything. But we actually had a thing called Kid Check, and Kid Check meant we wouldn't let the runners leave. Like the little 2-year-olds just run into the street, but we're only human. Yeah, one time there was a little 2-year-old boy, and he just ran into the street, and we're like, oh my god, he's gonna die! But thank God the little boy was good at Frogger. Yeah. Because we would have owed his family 2 tokens, and that's just like way too much. That's way too much. Kid's not worth 2 tokens. No, Chuck E. Cheese is also against teen pregnancy, I realized. Yeah, because you can't walk into a Chuck E. Cheese with a child if you're under 18 years old. Yeah, so we actually had a girl who was 15 with her newborn baby, and her mother had to stamp her into Chuck E. Cheese. And I love babies, so I was holding the baby, and I was like, oh my god, I love your baby. And the grandma was like, oh my gosh, do you have any children? And I was like, oh, no, I can't. I was 18 at the time. I couldn't do that. And then she's like, that's so sad. You can't have any children? And I was like, no, I can't mess up my life the way your daughter did. All right, guys, I'm going to leave you with this then, okay? You guys heard of the attractiveness scale, right? 1 being least attractive, 10 being most attractive. I'd say I'm a solid 7, but after you get to know me like you guys all did tonight, I'd say I'm a 5. But in Kentucky, I'm always an 11. Got a lot of family down there. All right, thanks, guys.
Ashley Lusk, everybody! Reminding us of the horror of Chuck E. Cheese. I one time went to Showbiz Pizza. We lost the kid in the ball thing. He was there for 2 hours. He didn't get the pizza. He just sort of came to near the end. You have stories. Ashley Lusk, everybody. Our next comedian, she just performed a lot of Pride events and just kind of performed north of us in Milwaukee and in Madison. Give a round of applause to KJ Whitehead.
Thank you for this welcome, and thank you for watching. You know how to make a girl feel welcome? I say girl, yes girl, transgender. And I've been doing some shows over the last week, and there were some kids in the audience. I've had to explain that me being transgender just means that I feel like Queen Latifah, but I know I still look like Don Cheadle in drag. I don't remember that part of Avengers Endgame at all, but I'm sure it's in there. Straight people interest me. Straight cis people interest me a lot, and not in the way that we want to convert them. Queer people don't actually want to do that. The gay agenda is dead, or is it? Straight cis people interest me because for some reason you guys still have gender reveal parties. That is still something you do. This past Pride Month, I've taken pride in the fact that I am the gender reveal party. You're not quite sure what you got, but you know it's interesting. I have some things to share with you all. And I've been, if you can believe me, with this voice and this smile, and I have been very, very angry over the last week or so. There was a study that, it was done years ago, but it just came back into the light again, that 80% of white women have admitted that they have fantasized about being intimate with black men. Meanwhile, 65% of white women would still cross the street if they saw a black man on the same sidewalk. And that was a joke more from me than anyone else. Stuff like that to me is funny. For some of you, it might be true, but for me, it's funny. Another thing that came up, and you've basically been seen on Facebook as well, is that people are upset that Ariel in The Little Mermaid is now black. This has been a thing going on, and some of the comments and posts about her being black now have been very racist and scary, and on the other hand, some of it has been very racist and hilarious. Some people are calling it blackwashing now, which is something I definitely hope happens to the Chicago comedy scene. And for those who don't know, just imagine the whole cast of Friends, but with only men, and they hold the microphones down to their crotch. That's basically what you're looking at. But me, and I will say this, I see myself as a woman. I'm black, transgender woman. I was raised by my mother, single mother. And at times when she couldn't take care of me, I was raised by my grandmothers and my aunties. Now, basically a family made up and built and made strong by black women. With all of that said, I am slightly opposed to Ariel being black now. Slightly opposed because the film would be way too short. There is not a single black woman that would give up her voice for a white man. That's just an honest thing. Another thing that I've been angry about is that in Rockford, Illinois, which if you don't know is a suburb about an hour away from here, I believe. In Rockford, Illinois, they were having protests out there at the library for story time with drag queens, which was basically drag queens reading stories to the little kiddies over there. And some people didn't like that, and they made that obvious. And the excuse that they used was protect the children. This is what they said: protect the children, protect the children. We have children in concentration camps in this country, but sure, protect the children, protect the children. There are unarmed black children that are shot at by police on a regular basis, but sure, protect the children, protect the children. Meanwhile, when I was 10 years old, I walked in on my parents having sex. Where were you? Protect the children. You know what that looks like? You really want to know what that looks like? It's like seeing two Hershey Kisses that left in the sun for too long and they melted together. I say that for two reasons. One, now you know my pain. And two, you will never eat a Hershey's Kiss again. Protect the children. I have a minute left, but I do want to say that I am the creator, host, and producer of a show called Outside Amy Schumer, which features feminist stand-up comedians other than Amy Schumer because people still think she's the only one for some reason. And it will be at the Playground Theater 2 weeks from now, July 30th, 10 p.m., $10, pay at the door. My name is KJ Whitehead, the Queen of Radical Comedy. Thank you for watching. Good
A round of applause for KJ Whitehead, everybody. Yes, she had some comments on the drag queen story time taking place at libraries. A friend of mine, she actually does that in New Orleans. The blonde woman in the picture, I actually know her. And they were like, oh, I don't trust my kids with those drag queens. I'm like, I trust my kids with the drag queens in a public library where there's a lot of other adults and people around watching what takes place a lot more than I trust my kids with a priest or a Boy Scout leader. All right. Give a round of applause for Joe behind the bar. Are we drinking tonight? Life is too short to be sober. Juan Chavez was polite enough to buy me a drink, a vodka cranberry again. I like my vodkas. And you can also take a great shot down my throat. Fireball, please. And let's give a round of applause for our next comedian, Robert Rule.
Thank you. So, I went to a party recently and I was asked to leave because I took my pants off. The hosts did not like that, and I said, hey, you said this was a gender reveal party. So, I didn't make that up just now, KJ, if that's what you're wondering. I had that plan, man. Sorry. Anyway, so, before I go any further, I probably should address the elephant in the room. Yes, I know I sound like Kermit the Frog having choke sex with Marvin the Martian. It wasn't easy being in high school when my voice started changing and kids would tease me. They would tell me things like that I sound like Chewbacca if he could speak English. I heard a lot of weird things about my voice in high school, but I think the weirdest thing that I ever heard was from this one kid who told me that I sound like somebody shoved penises up my nose. My only question for him was, how the hell would you know what that sounds like anyway? I don't think anybody knows what that sounds like. I don't think any couples are lying in bed right now like, hey honey, let's spice things up a bit. Let's try nasal tonight. So I'm not a fan of older people on Facebook. I don't like the statuses that they share when they say things like, the 70s. When playing meant going outside, your neighbors were people you knew, and if you didn't eat what mom cooked for dinner, you didn't eat at all. Really? I don't think the 70s were that nice for every single person who grew up back then. I think for some, it was more like the 70s, when a car accident meant that your head hit the dashboard, a sex offender was just some neighbor who seemed a little weird, and if you were in a wheelchair, well, you were on your own. But don't post stuff like that about, the time that they grew up, We're not going to be posting stuff like that about the 20 teens, when we're in our 40s and 50s. We're not going to be saying stuff like, I can't believe we survived the 20 teens. When rapists sat on the Supreme Court, cops got away with homicide, and if you were a woman, your body was the object of a political debate. No one's going to say that. We're going to be saying stuff like, the 20 teens, when Game of Thrones was on TV, and Toy Story movies were still coming out, and if you played Pokemon Go at the age of 37, that was okay. So one of my previous jobs, I had a female coworker who forced herself on me. Platonically, and I don't like that. I don't like it when somebody thinks that I'm their friend just because they said so. I never liked that. I remember when I was in first grade, there was a kid in my class who forced himself on me, platonically, and he gave me a really stupid reason for why I should be his friend. He said to me, Robert, you have to be my friend, because I think I knew you a long time ago. What? A long time ago? You're 6. There's no such thing as a long time ago. But fast forward about 10 years later, I was in high school, and there was a kid in one of my classes who introduced himself to me by saying, I have no friends. Weirdly enough, that didn't make me want to be his friend. Also weird, he did not shoot up the school. Spineless bastard. I'm actually not a fan of school shootings. I know that's hard to believe since I look like I use the internet to learn how to make bombs out of stuffed animals. But I'm not a fan of school shootings. I don't like the things politicians say after them. I remember after one shooting, a politician said, this sort of thing wouldn't happen if kids would just be friends with these kids. I don't know about you, but I'd like a more compelling reason to be friends with someone other than not wanting them to kill me. Also, if the kid's so driven that he's going to shoot his classmates, do you think he was ever really that receptive to other people to begin with? I feel like one time, maybe, someone said to him, hey man, we're playing football after school, you want to join us? And he would have just said, I can't, I have to go home and study the school's escape plan. So, I'm not a fan of the gun debate. I'm also not a fan of the immigration debate. Here's something. I don't think you should be allowed to have a say about border security if you don't live in a border state. Seriously, you'll hear people saying things like, illegal immigrants are a threat to my community. And it's like, jackass, you live in Iowa. I guarantee you, no one who is actually sneaking over the border is saying, oh boy, USA, land of opportunity. Now, which way to Cedar Rapids? I'll leave you with this. Some people don't like immigrants because they say that they bring crime with them. And here's my question. How is a crime any worse if it's committed by an immigrant? I don't think anyone's ever gotten mugged and the next day they told their friend, oh, it was terrible last night. This guy with a gun came up to me, he took my wallet, my phone, and the worst part was he didn't even speak English. You know, a few years ago, a woman got killed by a drunk driver who happened to be an immigrant, and immediately conservatives were saying, see, this is why we can't let these people into our country. Why? Because they're taking away opportunities from American drunk drivers? All right, that's it for me. Get back to Thomas Bottom.
Robert Rule, everybody! Robert Rule! Yes! Oh goodness, our politics are so crazy. I look at the news and I'm like, oh wow, these people would look so much better with head wounds. It's okay. Last week I was like, oh wow, they have children, you know. We can get their children. Maybe they'll pay attention then. I don't know. I'm path flashing back again to Parker, Colorado, my first time amongst white people, and they were the most deplorable human beings that ever lived. They were so bad, actually, I transferred to high schools my senior year. They still invited me to their reunion because no one goes. They made a Facebook message like, oh, we're having the reunion. Bleep, 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 bleep. And I remember you. Bleep, 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 bleep. So I sometimes when I'm flashing back, I'm like, they're always like, what could you have done differently? And I said, you know, well, I could have just made a bunch of Molotov cocktails and burned down the houses of all my bullies. I don't know if that would have solved the problem, but you know, they would probably have had to relocate if they had no place to live in the town, I'm just saying. Problem solved. And only thing I can say is, you know, that man likes to put his name on buildings. I don't have to light the match. I'm flaming already. Our next comedian coming to the stage, give a round of applause for Felisa Cal.
I'm so nervous. Just so you guys know, I'm actually a black woman. Don't tell anybody, I'm trying to keep it quiet. It's a thing. So, Mr. Bottoms, thank you so much. He actually pronounced my name correctly. This is my name, right? 6 simple letters. And looking at it, you would think it should be easy to say and pronounce, right? No. People call me Felicia. After looking at Lisa, they say Felicia. How? Just how? And I made the sign this way so you can see that the F-E is evidently the part that fucks everything up, because Lisa is a very common name in America. You know, Lisa Simpson, Lisa Kudrow, there's people. I can't say. So, having addressed the fact that I'm a black woman, I'm going to tell you guys a couple of things about being othered in America. Here in America, and God bless America, land that I love. God bless America so fully. But here in America, I, as a black woman, am the very last citizen to be considered as a citizen. I'm not even considered a person by most people. So I've been thinking, since Pride has ended, it got me kind of thinking, oh, maybe I should come out as trans. I'll be a trans person. Ignore the fact that I'm a woman. Ignore the black skin. Ignore the kinky hair. Ignore the head wrap. I'm just people, like all of you. And life would be so beautiful. I could really get behind that. But I don't want to do that. I want to be me. I want to be fully me and embraced for being me. I want to be like everybody else. I'm tired of being ignored. I'm tired of my voice being silenced. I'm really, 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 really tired of being told that I'm ugly just by dint of having kinky hair and not quite European features. It's not fair. It's really not fair. The first human person ever to live and give birth to another human person was a black woman. So if the original version is not seen as right, I just can't say. And I don't mean to bring anybody down or get all deep and everything, but it's kind of hard walking around like this. I went to a mic a couple of weeks ago. It was on a game night. I had to walk past Wrigley Field. So, God bless America, I kid you not. So, I'm walking past Wrigley Field. There's a couple of hundred Cubs fans milling around, and I'm walking down the street, and you would be surprised how people will look at you and immediately look away. As if I don't exist, I'm not worthy of notice and regard, I'm not even worthy of look. You know, I got big boobs. Don't nobody want to see the boobs even? I'm just saying, it gets a little tiresome. And I've gotten sensitive about it. I stopped going to mics. I've only been doing this like a year and a half. But I really stopped going because here's what happens. The average mic has got like, say, 10 people. 8 of them are going to be white guys most of the time. There might be one other woman. There might even be one other black person. Universally, and this is from experience now, universally, the white comedians ignore me. No problem. I expect it. But I thought that when I saw black faces in these places where we were the only ones that, we could be, hey, I see you. No, the black comedians ignore me. It comes to a point where I feel as if I don't belong. I feel as if I'm not accepted. I feel as if I truly am all those things that the media portrays me to be. And it's bad because, number one, people dismiss you when you're a woman. People dismiss you for sure when you're black. And when you add big boobs to the mix, somehow or other, all of these things together suggest that I am not smart. And it's like, I come into the room and already everybody has decided that I am ABC. And I'm like, but I'm really DEF. If you would only just give me a chance and get to know me, I am so DEF. I'm not that. But I digress. I was really nervous coming here. I was not sure what I was going to say. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. Because of the way things have been going lately, I've gotten very, very sensitive about racial issues, and I find that people, especially the paler folks, are not comfortable with this kind of talk. No problem. No problem at all. I love you all dearly. Truly I do. And there was a point in my life when I believed in the rainbow. I thought that we were going to overcome and everything was going to be great. To that point, I decided I'd date white guys, right? So, this guy I actually married. The first time we were getting together, it was a blind date. He told me what he was going to be wearing, and we were going to meet on Milwaukee Avenue where it crosses at Division. So, I'm coming down the street, and I see this tall, bald-headed white man, who was what I was expecting. He's wearing a tan jacket, which is what I was expecting. And as I get closer, I'm realizing this guy has not told the truth. He told me that he was 44 and yada, yada, yada. Turns out he was 56, and something in my heart knew that he wasn't right, because as I was going across the street, my gut spoke up and said, no, cross over there and get away from him. And if you know how Milwaukee and Ashland cross, in order to cross over to that opposite corner, I would have had to go through 6 lanes of traffic and endanger my entire life. And I felt it would be wrong to stand him up, because you just don't do that. So I went ahead and I met him. And we ended up married and pregnant and all of that within the space of a year. I swear he hoodooed me, because I don't know how this fucking happened in my life. And long story short, after many years of being with this man, he up and fucking left me. Crushed my whole spirit in my life. And convinced me, no, white people are not on your team. They are so not on your team. They're not on your team. And you can't cross over. I should have took my ass onto that other thing, got hit by a bus, because I still would have avoided that whole date and that whole nightmare marriage and that whole thing. But you live and you learn, right? Again, thank you so much. God bless America. All love.
Felisa Cal, I am a tall, bald-headed white man, but I would never play on your team, and I haven't played on any of the women's team here. Well, I did in high school, but they don't count. They don't. There was one girl, like, I dumped her, and like 6 weeks later she turned up pregnant, and I was really worried for 18 years, but they have passed. Felisa Cal, everybody, yes. And she was walking through Wrigley Field, now with the character and charm of downtown Naperville. Our next comedian coming to the stage is Tori Kilkenny.
Thank you, everyone. Sorry, I gotta get this thing all arranged. I was told by my last job before I moved here to Chicago that I was a horse girl. He was like, hey, Tori, you're a horse girl, aren't you? And I was like, no, I'm not, but I knew exactly what he meant. He was like, you're weird, and I can just kind of tell that in high school you had these obsessions that no one else was on board with. And I was like, well, he kind of got that, hit the nail on the head there. And I was thinking more about it, and I was like, I hate that that's the vibe that I give off, that I'm just like, that weird girl. I can't wait to go back to high school and show these people, like, I changed. I grew up. I'm not a horse girl anymore. I'm a horse woman. Okay? Still a little weird, but now I'm grown, right? So my parents are the most dear people in my life, but I grew up with a very eccentric childhood because they were very cheap people. Very, very cheap. Did you all know that Marlboro has a rewards program?
Yes.
I did, and it's not because either of my parents smoked. It's because my dad periodically would look back from the minivan and say, hey, Victoria, that's a carton in the drain. I'm going to pull over and you get that out of there. And so I'd have to schluck out of my little car seat and get out of the minivan, go pull it out, and like take these soggy, wet little cartons, and we put them in a bag, take them back to the house, and then on warm summer nights like these, my dad would sit in the garage and methodically clip out the UPCs, and then eventually he would send them all in and get prizes from Marlboro. So we had all of this branded crap just sitting in my basement. We had, I think, 4 duffel bags, 1 or 2 sleeping bags. And I was like, this is so weird. It didn't matter to my dad, though. He was like, I'm a grown man. I'm confident with who I am. I take these Marlboro bags to the gym. I don't care. On a related note, I'm going to tangent for a second. When I was like 7 or 8 years old, I went by Victoria. My name is Tori, but originally it's Victoria. And my mom got me a Victoria's Secret nightie. It wasn't like anything sexual. It was just like an oversized t-shirt, let's say. It said Victoria's Secret on it. And I didn't quite know what it was at the time, but I was just excited. I was like, my name is on this t-shirt. This is amazing. I am so confident with myself. 7 years old. But then I was that kid that would roll up to the sleepover, plop down my Marlboro bag, be like, I'm going to put on my Victoria's Secret nightie. And by the end of the night, everyone's like, my parents said you can't come over anymore. They can tell that you're a horse girl. Weirdo. But I do love my parents so much. They kind of hit that weird sweet spot between generations. Like, I'm the very end of the millennials. My mom is a baby boomer, and my dad is Gen X. So they kind of hit that weird sweet spot between the generational stereotypes, you know? So they're not quite distant and aloof and treated me like a latchkey kid like baby boomer parents. But they weren't all the time like overly helicopter parents, overly supportive Gen X parents, you know? Sometimes my mom would sit me down and say, Victoria, she would say this in total honesty and earnestness. You can do anything you put your mind to.
You want to be an artist? You can do that. You want to be president one day? I know that you could do that. That was the Gen X in her speaking. And then other times, I'd be like, Mom, there was mushrooms in the lasagna. I don't like mushrooms. I don't want those in the lasagna next time. She would look at me and say, next time make your own damn lasagna, Victoria. You're not eating this lasagna tonight. My parents were weird with their types of punishments. I think they got kind of bored somewhere along the way. Like there was, you guys remember being kids and your parents were like, you're home for the summer, I'm at work, I'm going to give you one or two things to do. It's not very difficult. Clean up the kitchen, set up some chicken, put this thing in the crock pot, turn it on, that's it. Very easy stuff. I was able to do none of it. I was not on board with helping out at all. But there was a time when my mom came home and she was like, Victoria, did you clean the kitchen? I was like, yeah, I think I cleaned the kitchen. She goes, come here then. Feel the counter. Do you feel that? I was like, no, it's fine. I think I wiped it off. Yeah, the counter's fine. She's like, no, there's crumbs on it. I was like, no, I think it's fine. I wiped it off. It's fine. She goes, oh, yeah? Give me your shirt. I was like, Mom, what do you mean? She's like, if it's clean, give me your shirt. I'll wipe it on the counter. Nothing will be on it if it's clean, right, Victoria? And I was like, I'm going to wipe down the counter, Mom. I'm so sorry. I will put out the chicken next time. I love you very much. I'll do a bit of a 180 with this entire conversation. I was taking some nudes the other day, and I was like, damn, girls got big feet. Am I right? I have like a 9.5, 10. I have these long-ass finger toes. They're very wide. They're very attractive, and I'm very self-conscious about them because they are so big. But it's not all bad because I have a huge penis. Come on, it's low-hanging fruit. We're not willing to pluck it together. I have faith in us. Okay, I'll leave you with one more thing, and then I don't know where I'm at with time, but I'm just going to do one more little bit. I promise. White people, where are you at? We're here? Yeah? Dancing's hard. You know? It's difficult. We're not good at it. You ever been to a wedding that just immediately turns up and the cha-cha slide comes on? White people are like, is that instructions? Oh my god. Oh, thank god. Jump to the left. Dancing is fun. I like that. Cha-cha real smooth. Very good. No, but here's a couple of dance moves, model laughter activities in our everyday lives that you can take to your social functions. We've got this one. We've got, how does it go? Oh, yeah. It's a sprinkler. Yeah, you guys know this one? Okay, we've got this one. Right? It's a shopping cart. Come on. Okay. Here's this one.
Lawnmower!
It's beating your stepson. All right, that's enough for me. Thank you, everyone.
Tori Kilkenny, everybody! And Tori Kilkenny's notebook?
Oh, sorry.
Yes, go ahead, give her a round of applause, yes. Making child abuse jokes. I have to say I came from an abusive background, but as I've gotten older, like when I watch Mommy Dearest, I find myself like siding with Joan Crawford. I mean, yeah, she beat Christina with wire hangers, but on the flip side, Christina got those $300 dresses. Round of applause if you have $300 dresses in your closet.
Just you, Thomas.
Just. Goodness, there's been a lot of talk and like you brought up like white people and they can't dance. It's like no, to the right, to the right, to the left, to the left, to the back, the front, to the front. You can. It's cha-cha slide is like you could do that in your sleep. I'm scared about you. Like I'm not saying when I left Country Lake Apartments for Parker, Colorado, that was like hardcore or anything, you know. I just was an Anita Baker fan. I knew Def Jeff, Cool Bo D, you know, How You Like Me Now. Which then, you know, once Vanilla Ice hit, things just went bad. Vanilla Ice is a real rapper. Oh God, leave my house. Don't. Why are you here? Go away. Go away. Yeah, Country Lake Apartments. I visited them last year. And the neighborhood really has changed since I left there. Like, the potholes were gone, they had paved. The dumpsters went on fire. The gangs were gone. Like, I got really teared up. I was like, oh, wow, it's so beautiful here. They painted. The trash was collected. The homeless were gone. It was so nice. I got out and I took a photo. And as I got out, like, the friend instantly locked the doors. And I was like, why'd you lock the doors? He's like, that was the worst neighborhood I've ever been in. I'm like, you're from New Lenox. Our next comedian, he, I don't know anything about him, Bontrager.
Mr. Bottoms, I know you got a whole beautiful poster with the bottoms of the barrels and everything. I thought you could maybe change the name of the show to Dirty Bottoms, and then you just have the logo just be a dirty diaper, you know? Not many chances to have your logo be a dirty diaper. I thought you should take it. Gonna do some dumb jokes I wrote on a really tiny card. I got a sister. She's really been pissing me off lately. She's really been stomping my yard. Call her up the other day. Husband picks up. I say, where's my sister at? Says she's in the hospital. I say, what's my sister doing in the hospital? Says she's got bloody stool. I say, big deal. You get bloody stool all the time. I tell you what, my sister's really been stomping my yard. Welcome to an excuse to say stopping my yard twice for no reason at all. Just like I'm trying to figure out how to work this in. It's like looking for dimes in a ham wallet. I don't know where that's gonna go. That's got to go somewhere. Like I don't know. It's horrible. You think of a punchline first. You're like, how do we even? It's like the Saw movies. You want to start backwards. It's just a mess. I knew he was on the floor the whole time. This movie's been out for a while. I'm sorry for spoiling it, but. Fucking goddamn murderer. Oh, sorry. Sorry. The rest of mine are so clean. So I got, I figured you got neighbors you hate here. You know, everyone, you got neighbors you want to get back at them. You want to prank them real hard, but you don't want to get the cops involved. So I figured out a way. It's a long con, and it takes some, you gotta buy about a year's supply of phone books from me. And you got to make a schedule of when this neighbor wakes up, and every morning before they wake up, you put a phone book on their front doorstep. And then you do this every day for a year. And you know, how many phone books does it take to you calling the phone company saying, where are all these phone books coming from? You know, they call the phone company says, we're not giving you any phone books. We barely send out phone books anymore. And that just keeps happening for the rest of the year. They got to they're making origami out of it and stuff. They're doing paper mache, and then it just stops a year later, and then there's like a phone book hole in their heart, and then you got them twice. You got the phone company to gaslight them, and then you stop their phone book arts and crafts. It's just a big travesty. I don't know. Should I do the suicide, or should I do more books? I got a good one for the end. You just wait. There's a real good one for the end, okay?
I'm waiting.
You just wait. Are you collecting driver's manuals? Because there's nothing like having a nice 1992 Jeep Cherokee driver's manual and then just chucking it out your window at just any biker's head, you know, divvy bikers, just motorcyclists. Just that crisp paper to head sound is beautiful. It's a pretty good car! It's old, but it's pretty safe! Just trying to sell Jeeps. Just trying to sell old Jeeps. This one's real dumb, too. So I got home the other day, got in, my wife's already like, "Bo, where you been all night, bro? The kids are starving!" I'm like, well, I brought chicken fingers, all right? When are you gonna buy us a nicer house? When are you gonna get off my back? And she says, why should I? And I say, because you've been dead for 3 years. It's a bit much. Dead wives, am I right? Never shut up. It's me talking about my non-existent wife. That's beautiful. Leading right into suicide. I feel like it's like bladder. It's like snorting powdered bleach. More people should be doing it, I think. Spread the word. Snorting bleach gets you high, please. I want that to be. I want the new Tide Pods. I want that to be in the. I think of those few lucky people who actually ate the Tide Pods, which had the soapiest farts. You know, I don't think it actually killed anyone. It actually says in the package, they're like M&Ms. You know what? You can't hold them for too long; they kind of melt. But if you want to commit suicide, but you don't want people talking about you commit suicide. The trick is you die a hero. You know, like you go into a burning building, you save a cat, you die from the burns afterwards. You die a hero. You know, no one's talking about the suicide. Push an old lady out of the way of a bus. You get hit by the bus, die a hero, and you got to push down an old lady. All right, so here's the cream of the crop. Here's the cherry on top. Jigglypuff taking a poop. No one's seen it. No one's ever seen it. Tiggly. 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 Thank you. I've been Bon Traeger. Don't watch your Pokemon.
Bon Traeger, everybody, give him a round of applause.
Quickly, yeah.
It was brought to my attention that I forgot that there are white people in the audience, and Anita Baker and Anita Bryant are two different people. Anita Bryant was a racist white woman, homophobic woman in the 70s who had a Christian pop singer. Huh?
Probably racist.
Probably racist too. While Anita Baker is a singer from Detroit who had a huge hit in 1988 with Sweet Love. Now you might know her version of singing because she starts off with really booming, Sweet Love, and then she becomes a crying 3-year-old. And then she gets defiant. I feel no shame. I'm in love, sweet love. Don't you ever go away. I'll always feel this way. Hey? Did anyone recognize that song? All right, we have a few white people here who have black friends. All right, our next comedian coming to the stage. She is a sister from another mister coming all the way from Oak Park. We nickname her Plays in Your Mouth Patty Vaccarella.
Thank you. Keep it going for Thomas. So I refuse to age gracefully because I am really, really, really clumsy. I was with my sister the other day. We're talking about getting older, and she says, you know, I just can't find anybody who's interested in touching my body. I'm like, I don't know what you're doing, but I have no shortage of people willing to look at my body parts. The only thing is there's no foreplay. Nobody ever buys me a drink, and I gotta pay for it. You might call it a copay, but you know what? I'm gonna take it any way I can get it. So people are all interested in doing their DNA test. Anybody here have done their DNA? No. I'm like, I don't need to do that. I know exactly what I'm made of. Not sugar and spice and everything else. I am made of sarcasm and caffeine and just enough paranoia to keep things interesting. But then I saw on Groupon they had one for $39.95, so yes, I had to do it. So I got my results back. Pretty much what I was expecting. 47% Italian, not a surprise. 20% French, okay, a little bit lower, and 14% Irish. Hold the phone here. My entire life, I had been told I was half Italian, a quarter Irish, and a quarter French. What I was not expecting to see was I was also 13% Scandinavian. Where? Where is there 13% Scandinavian? That's like an eighth of a Swede is in this little squatty dago body. Where is it? I'm not tall. I'm not blonde. I didn't get those really gigantic Scandinavian blue eyes. You thought I was going to say boobs, right? Didn't get those either. No, sirree. No. There is nothing here that says Nordic princess. This is more like mafia mistress. Yeah. Hey, I gotta ask you guys something. Does this shirt make my liver look fat? Because recently, somebody said that to me. They just came right out and said, "You got a fat liver." You know, I know she's my doctor and it's her job to tell me that, but you know, she could have softened the blow a little bit, right? I mean, there's not even a good comeback for that. Like, what am I gonna say? You know, in some cultures, a big fat liver is kind of sexy, like maybe cannibals, but that's about it. So, because of the fatty liver thing, I've had to change my diet. Gotta watch the carbs, the cholesterols, the fat, all that baloney. Can't have bologna either because a lot of fat in there. So I found this thing, it's called Pasta Zero. It's got 0 carbs, 0 cholesterol, and 0 chance of me ever buying this lousy stuff again. It was so bad. It was so bad, I seriously considered gargling with my own urine to get the taste out of my mouth. Oh. It's terrible. So, babies can do things that the rest of us can't do, right? A baby has this little fat part behind their knees, and everybody just loses their mind over it. They want to like grab it and pinch it and blow bubbles on it. Nobody wants to see my knees. They're like, put your skirt on, it's fine. And babies can walk around with a bottle at 10 o'clock in the morning. People think it's adorable. They're like, what you got in the baba, baby? Is that good? You got something good in your baba? What you got in your baba? When I do it at 10 o'clock in the morning, you know what I hear? Patty, this is coming from a place of care and concern. Kind of worried about you. And babies can walk around all wobbly and fall down, and people are like, oh, baby, did you fall down and go boom, boom on your bum, bum? Did you fall down? When I do it, you know what I hear? Get that drunk old lady out of here before she chases the paying customers away. So unfair. I'm going to leave you with this. A little bit of wisdom. You, all of you, are a beautiful skin sock filled with hopes and dreams and farts. Never, ever let anyone tell you different. You've all been great. My name is Patty Vaccarella. Let's bring back Thomas Lyon.
Patty Vaccarella, everybody! You can find her on Facebook, and she is doing a fundraiser in November. Cat Van Do. A lot of details to be coming. Give her a round of applause. Yes. Our next comedian, I thought there was fog outside earlier, but apparently she was just passing me by. Give a round of applause to Chevy Debbie!
Y'all give it up for Thomas Bottom one time. And Patty Vaccarella, we all started doing comedy around the same time, about 12, 13 years ago. If I'm right, I'm wrong. What fuck?
Just out of high school, yes.
You know, y'all, I just want to say this here. Anybody watch The Bachelorette? Alright, well, here's the thing. Back in 1975, some of y'all probably wasn't even born, I had about 10 men fighting over me. They called me the top hoe. How this bitch get to be a bachelorette? So I changed my status. I'm a bachelorette now. Lonely, but a bachelorette nonetheless. And I'm from the west side of Chicago. Any west siders up in here? Alright, well, good. Because I'm one of them bougie west side people. You know, I live in Forest Park. And we got some of the pettiest. We got some of the pettiest police in Forest Park. You hear me? The other day, the police, he gonna pull me over. And he gonna come walking up on my car. He be like, ma'am, I've been a police officer for over 30 years and I've never seen nothing like this before. And he was a big old white man, you know. He was like 6'2", about 300 some pounds. And his name was Bubba. And Bubba walked up on my car. He walked up there. He said, ma'am, just explain to me, ma'am, why you driving on the sidewalk? I said, cause I'm too drunk to drive in the street, officer. I don't want to get a DUI. And then I try to make my comedy about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. But it's the sex I don't have and the drug biking that I take for the pain in my knee. It make me rock till I roll over and go to sleep. So I went to the doctor about the pain in my knee. You know, the doctor can always find something wrong with you, right? He gonna tell me my vitamin D was low. I said, I know it is, doctor, because I'm not getting none. No D-I-C-K for me, okay? So he told me to touch my toes, so I did with my titties. And I rolled them up like joints and I made them look like blunts. So the other morning I got out the shower. I was looking for my right hip, y'all. Couldn't find it. It was right here. Don't laugh, it done turned into a playground. The men get up there and slide right on in the vagina. I can't curse because it's on tape, you know. Yeah. And then, you know, I just retired. Give it up for me. Yeah. 45 years. Here's my retirement speech. Thank you, child support, for these last 25 years. I never could have made it if it wasn't for the person that's the head of my life. And that's my weed lady, Joanne, y'all. Give it up for her one time. She kept me high and work fucking up them cases. Messing up the cases. And since I retired, you know, I have a lot of time on my hand. So, you know, I'm 62 years old, so, you know, sex is not really on my agenda no more. Because don't nobody want me. So, I have a lot of time on my hands, so I started watching porn, y'all. I had something to do, you know. And I be watching the gay porn, you know. I had a gay friend for years. I just always wanted to know when they was having sex, what was his little wee-wee doing. So now I found out, girls, that's when we can't get no man. Them men is out sucking us, girls. I'm telling y'all that. Oh! Yeah, they out sucking us. And I watched my great-grandson, I have a great-grandmother. You know, I wasn't shit as a mother. Excuse me. I wasn't a good grandmother. But this great-grandbaby stuff I got down packed, y'all, okay? I love my little man, right? So the other day, my granddaughter, who's bougie too, she screamed real, real loud. And I ran in the bedroom. I'm like, what's wrong? She said, Granny, he took his diaper off and he peed on me. My baby had an Oreo cookie in his hand. He was licking on it. I said, you better come here, my little R. Kelly. That's funny. Oh, boy. And, you know, since I retired, like I said, I have a lot of time on my hand. And I hate talking to people because, you know, after you work for child support for 25 years, you done heard every lie that can be told. So I really don't like talking to people. So I got Google as my man. That's right, I can report to Google because, you know, Siri is a lady and she act all funny. She be going through menopause and stuff. But you have to be careful, you know, about what you say because I wanted to know what a goat was. They kept saying goat in the news, goat, goat, goat. So I decided to ask this one man. I said, what is a goat? He said, goat eat grass, eat goat milk, and goat cheese. I said, thank you, dummy. So I said, Google. He was like, yeah, Chevy Debbie. I said, Google. I said, what is a goat? Excuse me, Google said, a goat stands for the greatest of all time. I said, well, here I am. You know. Yeah, I said, here I am. So then, you know, you have to be, if you want to know the truth about something, just ask Google. I swear to God, Google will tell you the truth. I said, Google, what my ex-old man doing? He said, oh, he's still out there. You know, he's still out there spamming them. I said, oh, yeah. I said, what about me, Google? He said, yeah, you still trying to sell that old poo-poo? I said, yeah, I am, Google. Yes, I am. And, you know, I love my favorite holidays and stuff is like Christmas and Thanksgiving like everybody else, you know. And I had went to the tattoo parlor, and I told the tattoo artist, I said, I want you to put me a turkey with all the trimming right here on my left inner thigh. I said, but on my right inner thigh, I want you to put me a Christmas tree with all the trimming. And he did. He just stepped back, And he looked at me and said, you know what, Miss Chevy? I never question people about where they get their tattoos or why. He said, but it's puzzling me. Why would you get a turkey right here and a Christmas tree right here? I say, for one reason, sir. I'm just tired of my old man saying there's nothing good to eat between Thanksgiving and Christmas, y'all. All right, thank y'all. But before I get up out of here, y'all give it up for me because I'm a survivor of the big C.
Yeah.
Cocaine, all right? That's my time, y'all. I'm Chevy Debbie. I'll come up behind me now. You might get some. Want me to bend it over?
That's the best offer I get since the month before I got treated for cancer. And that was, I don't want to say how many years ago that was.
I remember.
Go back where you came from. Okay, the thing about that is if everybody were to go back where they came from, now these are the options. You could go back to the vagina you came out of.
Say it.
Vagina.
I heard you.
Okay. or another option is go back to the penis that got that vagina pregnant.
Yeah.
That can't be done. Or C, option C, go back to the primordial ooze, aka the swamp. But then again, you'll become a Republican.
A dumb one.
A dumpling?
Dumb one. Dumb Republican. Your president.
Is there a smart Republican? No answer. And speaking of smart Republicans, oh no. I want to bring up the Chicago comedy's number one atheist, but there's someone that's tied for number one, but I won't brag about it. Actually, I've been around longer, so yes, I'm the number one atheist in Chicago. Jeff Hawks, I saw that. I saw that.
Oh, really, you did, huh?
Yeah.
Really? You did see it?
Yeah.
Phil. See it again? Alright. Alright, let's give it up for Phil!
Yay!
By the way, here's a fun fact about Phil. Feed him enough drinks, he'll tell you about the wonderful time when he was young and fire was invited. By the way, I also want to give it up to our other host, Thomas Bottoms. Good friend of mine. And a lot of people are even questioning that friendship. They're like, how can a straight atheist be friends with a gay guy? And obviously we have a lot in common. For instance, we have two things in common. One, we both go to the same barber. The lawsuit is still pending. We're hoping that it will be settled soon so that we don't have to do this for a living. And we both make evangelical people cry. Me more than anything, though, because, I deny all that. I love getting into arguments. For the record, though, if you are religious, do not be offended. I never attack. I don't. I always give people 2 warnings. After the third one, I'm going to make you cry now. That's what's going to happen. And I've done that several times. I've gotten into the best arguments ever. I had one person even say, how can you deny that God exists? I said, easily, there's no proof. I'm like, how dare you? Of course there's proof. The Bible! I'm like, oh, well, that kind of information, how can I deny it? He's got a book. By that knowledge, that means that my comic book collection is further proof that Spider-Man exists, and he's swinging through New York as we speak. But I have to talk about things in the news. My favorite mythical creatures are, of course, the Loch Ness Monster, mermaids, and, of course, evangelical oppression. Things that don't exist. And I have to talk about the mermaid thing, because that always fascinates me. That is the weirdest thing to ever complain about in this country. I love the idea that that story came out and people lost their stuff. I'm like, not my Ariel. How dare that fish person not be white? It's a mythical creature. How dare it? I'm like, are you serious? That's the hill you want to die on? You literally want to be on a position where you actually are dumber than the people that say Earth is flat? Because you literally make them look like they're like Mensa meeting status right there. You do know that, right? But I like to investigate things. So I couldn't find anybody that was for this, believe it or not. And I deal with a lot of weirdos. So I had to go further into the internet so you don't have to. And I went to a forum where it is literally people discussing how Ariel is going to be played by a black woman. And that is the most fascinating room to ever be in. It's a comedian's dream come true. The stupidity that is flowing out of there is like non-stop. I saw someone post a meme, and I'm not making this up. It was a Confederate flag with Disney Ariel's face in the middle of it, and underneath it said, "Not my Ariel." And I'm like, the person who came up with that and put it together obviously hasn't been laid in a long time. Like, you're living in mom's basement and you have not done anything with your life if that's the thing you need to post out there. You literally put that together and thought, yeah, I need to put that out in the world in social media. That's going to make sense. My only question to that was, of course, exactly what role did Ariel, the mermaid, play in the Confederate Army? That's my only question. Like, what position did she have? Obviously not the Air Force. Unless, of course, you're a Trump supporter, then maybe she was. You never know. But I can't get away from the Trump thing. I need to talk about this. Our racist president said something racist. Shocking. Aren't we all shocked now? And it's fascinating that people are like shocked by that. Like, he's a racist. He does that stuff all the time. He's angry at people criticizing our country. And I'm fascinated by that because I'm like, wasn't that your entire campaign in 2016? Literally, that's what you said. Make America great again. Assuming you're making the prediction that it wasn't great and you want to make it good. You literally ran your entire political career on us not being great. Now you're going to question other people on that? That's literally the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Until, going back on the Ariel thing, I found out that Tommy Lauren is also upset about Not My Ariel. She went on Fox News to complain about it. I'm like, Tommy, if you don't know who Tommy is, look her up. She's fascinating. She's one of my favorite people in the whole world. I've never met a dumber blonde in my life. Seriously, she's so dumb, she gives blonde jokes credibility at this point. I think Tommy Lauren is a result of what would happen if a bottle of peroxide gained sentient life. Seriously, that's who Tommy is. To end on this, I'll talk about my favorite Tommy Lauren joke. Because before she was on Fox News, she was just doing stupid YouTube videos, which I would really hope she would go back to that. But she got into an argument where she said, and she compared Black Lives Matters to Nazis. And she did this on YouTube. So, of course, I decided to ask her the question that we're all wondering about, and that is, Tommy, what upsets you most about Black Lives Matters? Is it when they invaded Poland, or is it when they tried to kill the Jews? Which one is it? Can you really make that distinction? Please, I'm just wondering here. Anyway, that's all the time I have. Thank you so much. By the way, I will be at Darren's Super Fun Party Show this Friday. It's on Facebook. Come to the show. And now I turn it over to Phil!
Keep it going for the second greatest atheist in Chicago.
I'll fight you for the belt!
Hey, I go to Planet Fitness. Boom, boom, boom. I had the pizza today.
My atheism is stronger than yours.
Want a bet?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't forget $3. Was it $3 domestic beers, $4 well drinks, $4 Jägermeisters, and $4 Fireball shots?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
The thing about Fireball shots is it's like deep throating a dragon once you drink them.
Amen.
Which I have never done in my life. I have never anyways. Never have, never will. Put it that way. Next comedian coming up. Keep it going for Jeff.
Yeah.
Okay. One more time. Next comedian, Bridget McGuire.
Thank you, Phil. Give up for Phil and Thomas for hosting this tonight. How are we doing? Yes, my name is Bridget. I'm 37. I'm a first grade teacher, and I did cocaine for the first time last weekend.
All right!
Thank you.
You too?
I'm lying. Look at me. I'm not a teacher. Did cocaine though. Didn't think I'd start hitting the hard stuff at 37.
Hey,
Yeah. If you would ask me at 21, like, where will you be at 37? I'd be like, well, I'll be pregnant with my third, and I'll be putting a down payment on my forever home in Hinsdale. I did not think I'd be like, well, I am living in a studio. I have frozen eggs. And I'm doing the nose candy. Yeah. The Colombian locomotive. The white lady. Those are terms I Googled. I would not have guessed that I was doing coke because I did not do it on purpose. I just kissed a man that must have done so much that my mouth went numb. Yeah. True story. I was on a first date. And as I got out of this guy's car, we started kissing for a couple minutes. And all of a sudden, I was like, oh, wait, I can't feel like the left side of my mouth. And I'm crazy, and I take Plan B for no reason, because I'm really afraid of getting pregnant. That's a total side story. I thought I got my period in 5th grade. It turns out I was just wearing a pair of my mom's old underwear. Yes. Yes. My mom was not nice to me. She was like, what? That's it. Everyone's got to start doing their own laundry around here. So, side note, so I've always been afraid of getting pregnant. So sometimes I just take Plan B for like good measure. So I'm kissing this guy. All of a sudden, it's like one side of my mouth is going numb. And I'm like, am I having a stroke? And then I was like, oh my God, like all the Plan B I've been taking, like all the oh my God, I gave myself a stroke. And I didn't swear. And I was like, oh my God. So I started freaking out, and I started crying. And I'm like, excuse me, sir. Call 911. And he was like, what? Why are you calling me, sir? And I was like, I'm sorry. I think I'm having a stroke. And he was like, what? I'm like, I can't feel the left side of my mouth. And he was like, oh my God, no, sorry, babe. I did a couple lines earlier. Did you want some? I was like, did you just call me babe? Like, I met you 3 hours ago. We're not there yet. Here's the kicker. This guy was 52 years old, and he was taking his son to look at colleges the next day on the West Coast. Like, he had a flight out of Midway at 7. It's Tuesday on, like, 11 o'clock, and he's doing lines. It was crazy. So all my friends were like, what are you going to do? I'm like, oh, give me some credit, you guys. Like, what do you think I'm going to do? I put him in my phone as Coke Dad. And I'm going to check back in with him next week. Get a really nice car. I want a house in Hinsdale. Like, what do you think? Yeah. Yeah. But no, things are good. I recently did meet someone. Thank you. Yes, it was really cute. We met at my aunt's funeral. Yeah. But in my defense, anyone here been to an Irish Catholic wedding? Couple nods. All right. Well, then you've essentially been to an Irish Catholic funeral because they're the same thing. You go to church, you cry, you laugh, and then you go to a country club and everyone gets wasted. So I met this guy at my aunt's reception, and he got my number, and he was like, hey, I'll text you, whatever. And I'm like, great. And he never texted. So I thought, no big deal, whatever. 6 weeks later, my uncle died, my aunt's husband. So we went to the same church, we cried, we laughed, we went to the same country club, but this time, everyone blacked out. There was a woman there named Georgia who was like 73, and she passed out in the corner of the country club and had thrown up earlier, and I was like, oh my God, Dad, can Georgia come to all our family parties? Like, I am so sick of being the drunkest. But that guy was there again, so he came up to me and he was like, hey, really sorry I never called, I was kind of seeing someone. I was like, no big deal. And then I chased him around the country club for the next 2 hours, and then one thing led to another. We went home together. No, I didn't sleep with him that night. I did the next morning, and yeah. But I told him, I was like, listen, I am not like a second funeral girl, okay? Like, I normally wait till the third funeral. And so he was like, all right, well, you know what? Let me make it up to you. Would you want to get dinner on Friday? I'm like, sure. So the next morning I wake up, I have a text from him. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, is he needy? And it was like, this is what the text said. It was like, hey, real sorry, still seeing that other girl. I know. If anything were to change, you'll be the first to know. Yeah. So I'm waiting. I'm like, who's got to die around here to make this happen? You know? They say third time's a charm. Dad. Just kidding. Just kidding. I just went and I popped Plan B and I went on about my day. All right, that's it. I'm Bridget. Thank you.
Keep it going. Well, I was sitting there, I was debating whether I should do my impersonation of the Swedish chef to introduce the next comic, but I'm not going to be an a-hole, which is unusual for me. Trevor Gurtonsen.
Right. Great. I have this concern because of the way I look that something bad might happen to me, like I might get murdered, and it'll immediately be written off as a suicide. And no one will question it. It's fun being in the arts, but I find like people are consistently telling you to make sure you always have a backup plan. That's the big thing, just in case your dreams don't pan out. It's good to have a backup plan. One person actually told me, they said, Trevor, you know, if comedy doesn't work out, you should always become a nurse. Which, it's a noble profession, don't get me wrong. But if someone tells you that, hey, we're going to have to take some of your blood, the nurse will be in here in just a moment, and then I walk in. That seems exhausting, right? It is. I like true crime, and I don't like crime, true crime, but I have a fascination with it. I like that they do have all these documentaries on Netflix and podcasts to listen to. I was listening to one of these podcasts talking about all serial killers have a common characteristic, and the most common characteristic among serial killers was that they have substance abuse problems. And I thought that was interesting because I thought the most common characteristic among serial killers was that they were murderers. And like I said, I do have fascination with crime. I was reading this article about it. Here in Chicago, there were 5 bank robberies, right? Which was like, it blew my mind that there were 5 bank robberies because I didn't know you could still rob a bank. That seems old. And one of the banks that they were talking about was inside of a grocery store, right? I don't know if anyone here has ever banked at a place inside a grocery store. I tried to take $40 out once, and they're like, hey, we don't carry that kind of cash here. You're going to have to go 6 feet to the ATM if you want some of that. And here's the thing, like, the article I read, I'm calling them robberies. The article called them heists. Which I don't know a lot about heists, but I feel like it takes more than one person and a sheet of paper. It takes at least 8 women. Or 17 men, I think. That equivalent. It's good. I think they overuse the term rock star at office jobs. I think they need to stop doing that. They always people like to say like the person that does the best job there is a rock star. And I've had plenty of day jobs, and the first thing, like at any job, the most important thing you can do is show up on time. Has anyone here ever been to a concert? That does not start on time. The other thing too is if you do work with a rock star, is because they're on court-mandated community service. That is generally the only time they do our work, I think. And we also give them too much credit, man. I think, like I remember in 2003, Elliott Smith stabbed himself. And after I heard that, I was like, oh man, that guy's intense. I need to buy some of his albums. That would not work the same for the PetSmart store manager. You hear that guy stabs himself, and you go, holy crap, that guy's intense. I had to buy my pet food at Target. All right. I think Amy Winehouse may be one of the last cool rock stars that we ever had. And I was actually at a Target buying one of her albums because I support the mom and pop shops. And the lady at the counter said, hey, do you know what killed her? And before I could respond, she said, you. And I guess she was referring to just me being a man, but for a moment I was like, hey, this lady at Target thinks that I was cool enough to know Amy Winehouse. Pretty sweet. And I wanted to be a rock star when I was a little kid. I remember I asked my mom if I could get a guitar, and she said, I'll tell you what, Trevor, I'll buy you a guitar if you can show dedication to an instrument at school. And when I was a little kid, all they had at my school was band, right? So I ended up playing the baritone. Yeah, the baritone is a terrible thing to do to a child that wants to be a rock star, right? Because the problem is there aren't any cool baritone players to look up to. Like, I don't remember the Rolling Stones canceling their 76 tour because their baritone player went to rehab. Like, if you see a baritone player getting arrested, it's because he's urinating outside of VFW. It's the life of a baritone player. I do watch too much TV, and I started watching a show about prostitution in the 70s, and as it turns out, I know absolutely nothing about prostitution. So at one point during the show, everyone turns and goes, hey, I see these pimps taking all this money and never giving anything back to the women, like how much of a cut does a pimp get? And I had no idea, so I took to Google, and I typed in, how much of a cut does a pimp get from his hoe? Which is probably the whitest thing I've ever written in my entire life. And here's the thing, like, I came up with all these search results with interviews with pimps, and as it turns out, pimps are an unreliable source of information. I have not learned anything, but now I got this concern that my mom's going to come to visit, she'll want to use my computer, and because Chicago's an expensive city, she'll type in the words, how much? And the first thing that's going to pop up is, of a cut does a pimp get from his hoe? And here's the big problem with that. That makes me sound really concerned about the pimp. And that is not the side you want to be on. Thank you, guys.
Trevor Gurtonsen. Got a question. Your tattoo, is that part church fence and part air supply?
Yes.
Yeah, I know. Okay, we're bringing up the last comic. Keep it going for Trevor. Enough. I said enough. Last comic coming up. He has a show once a month, the last Thursday of the month at Mother's 2. Shy Brown.
Sorry, I was late today, Thomas. I was on the red line, so we had to wait for about 30 minutes. And it was crowded, and it was like a old man on a train giving his speech. Hey everybody, my name is William H. The H stands for Joseph. You see it? So I got off at Belmont, and of course he gets off at Belmont, and he sees a girl, and he was like, "See you later, alligator." She was like, "After a while, pedophile." Space Jam 2 is supposed to come out, and I think R. Kelly is supposed to be on that soundtrack. And the name of that song is going to be, I Believe I Can Fry. They gonna cook R. Kelly. Spicy. R. Kelly gonna be in jail cutting up tomatoes, fruits and vegetables, and potatoes. You ever been so broke the only check you got was the reality check? Man, I am broke. But shout out to all the artists, man. Follow your dreams. That's exactly what I'm doing. But last night I treated myself. You're always supposed to treat yourself. I treated myself to some white rice with seasoning sauce for dinner. And some sugar with white rice for dessert.
Living the dream.
Living the dream. So I ain't home. I got laid off from my job, and I got a 6-month scholarship, unemployment check, once a month. And you know, college didn't really work out for me. I ran out of money and I ran out of grades. But I saved up a few dollars, so I'm gonna be going to LA in October. LA Fitness, so I can give me some abs. I need abs. That's the hardest thing to get is abs. So me and my girl at the time, we were snuggled up under some Motel 6 blankets. She told me it wasn't working out, and I would never amount to anything. So I became a delivery driver. So, like, the third delivery was to her and her new guy's place. So half of the pizza was poison, and the other half was poison. We got back together because she said I like to take chances. So we was back again, square one, snuggled up under those Motel 6 blankets. She was like, I need a break. So I was like, okay. So I went to get her a Kit Kat. They had them on sale at Target, right by the cashier. She was like, no, you just don't get it. I just want to see the world. I just want to see what's out there. So I got her some binoculars and a telescope. They had them buy one get one half off at Target in the sporting goods department. She said, no, you just don't understand. I just want to do me. Oh, okay, masturbate. So I got her I got her a white rabbit. They had it on sale at the Salvation Army. How much time I got? Do I got like another minute?
Yeah, 2 minutes.
Oh, 2 minutes. Nice. Let's see what I got again. So, anyone went to the Taste of Chicago? No one went to the Taste of Chicago? Yo.
We don't have money.
You don't have True. So anyway, I was actually working a job at the Taste of Chicago. I was I was giving away cookies for free. So my best friend, he was supposed to come and you know, check it out or whatever. He's like, hey man, I'm gonna try to come, but I think I might be late. So I said, that's cool. I'm just glad my girl ain't say that. You know, late. Period. You know, late. Period. Period. Late. Yeah. Period. Late. Any Netflix fans in here?
Yeah.
So Netflix they grossed over, was it 600 million last year? My boy, his fiance works for Netflix in like the corporate sector in marketing. So she's pregnant, and she gets 6 months of maternity leave, all paid. I need to get pregnant. I like to have sex. I like to talk during sex. My favorite thing to say during sex is coming. Coming. Huh? Coming. Darling, where are you? Coming. Be right there. Outside. Ding dong. Coming. Darling, where are you? Coming. Coming. Leaving. All right, thank you, everybody. That was my time. If anybody wants to sign up for the Brothers 2 Open Mic, let me know. I can sign you up right now. That will be our 12th show. So, what's that, 12 months? That's 1 year, I guess.
1 year anniversary, yay!
So, feel free to, let's network, and I'll sign you up, and thank you.
What day is the show?
It's Thursday the 25th.
Sign me up.
Next Thursday.
Thursday, yep.
Yay!
8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. We got some slots left, too.
Give it up for your host,
Shy Brown, everybody! Round of applause, yes! Talking about Netflix. I am not the person to ever talk to about Netflix because I will ruin Stranger Things for you. Yes. Oh yeah, Stranger Things Season 3. I know a porn actor that looks straight up like the kid Dustin. Curly hair, baseball cap. Yeah, there's a never-ending story in that one. God, I had another Stranger Thing. Oh no, we'll go there. Like Stranger Things Season 1. I'll try not to do too much spoiler, but I did get something out of that. Sometimes that dick's so good you let your best friend die. And Stranger Things, it gives us 80s nostalgia, where we remember, I guess, Reagan, I don't know. Madonna, where she wore skimpy outfits, now women just don't wear pants on stage, I don't know. But, we also have 90s nostalgia. Sally Struthers, Feed the Children. And in Trump era, we have Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Cage the Children. Too soon, too dark. This has been Bottoms of the Barrel Comedy Show. We do this every third Tuesday of the month. We're a comedy show that I always say aiming low for success. They ask how low. I said, did the show happen? I said, yes, success! A show happened! Yes, a show with no budget, no future, no morals. I want to give a huge applause for all the comedians. We've had Katie Zane, Des Mulrooney, Prateek Srivastava, Ashley Lush, KJ Whitehead, Robert Rule, Felisa Cal, Tori Kilkenny, Bontrager the First, Patty Vaccarella, Chevy Debbie, Jeff Hawks, Bridget McGuire, Trevor Gurtonsen, Chris Brown, co-host Phil Burns. This has been Bombs of the Barrel on Q4 Radio, AM 1680, Q4.org. I am Thomas Bottoms, and next time you leave your house, be a decent person. Bye. Thank you, guys.